Welcome to What? That Old Queen, a candid and adult take on queer life quandaries at a certain age. So please listen at your own discretion. Presented by Bernie and Tommy, their views are their own and in no way reflect those of any service you may hear this programme on. Now, let your ears be upstanding for the Old Queen. Hello, Tommy.
Hello.
Are you going to do the voice or what?
Well, I'm trying, but I don't know if I can get it. I haven't had time to practice.
It's actually quite good.
I know.
Hello, Peter.
Hello. Surprise, surprise.
Surprise special guest / presenter of this episode.
I know, a double whammy.
Peter Baker, because unfortunately Tom Marshman is in Gloucester. I don't know what else to say about that, really.
That's correct.
He's on BBC Radio Gloucester promoting his show Jenny, which is going to be on the 13th of October at the Guildhall in Gloucester, I believe.
That is correct. And I happened to have a sneak peek at the play itself when I helped Tommy with his lines on Monday over Zoom. So I feel very honoured to I've almost had a sort of private bespoke performance, and I can say wholeheartedly I think it's going to be a very good show.
Yeah, I've seen the show and I think it's amazing. I obviously haven't seen it in its current form because all of Tom's shows are ever evolving. Much like this podcast.
Yes.
Now, where are you at the moment?
So I am currently coming to you from a small flat in rural Mallorca, about 40 minutes walk to my nearest shop in a town called Puigpunyent, and sort of up in the mountains above Palma, sort of on a nice little retreat.
Puigpunyent, it sounds like it's Eastern European.
It does, but it's actually Puigpunyent. And Puig was actually a very wealthy family in Barcelona, Catalonia, and I think, in fact, they own a lot of the perfume brands that we know and produce the perfume. So I don't know if there's a link between that Catalan Puig family and Puigpunyent here, but maybe I should have researched that before this podcast.
Yeah. Okay. Never mind. You can tell us when you come back again.
Oh, great. Keep that in the show.
Yeah. So why are you in Mallorca? What's it like? You're wearing a very lovely shirt, by the way. What is on that shirt?
So I like to wear it because it's quite a good talking point as it brings people closer into me as they try to decipher exactly what the tableau is. And it's sort of a retro vintage shirt. I'm trying to paint it with my eyes in colours of beige, purple, grey and yellow. And I think it's people in the hotel reception. Other people think it's a group of architects looking at some plans.
So you are the hotel?
I think so. Well, I like to welcome people in.
So I've heard. So what are you doing in Mallorca?
Well, I basically am having a bit of I classed it as a writing retreat, although so far I haven't really managed to write anything. But it's also a break, having just finished being in a long-running contract in Only Fools and Horses, the musical. So I finished that on Saturday, and wow. I felt that rather than twiddle my thumbs, I'd like to get away and decompress.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for agreeing to be on the podcast, even though you're decompressing as we speak.
My pleasure. Well, now I'm compressing, I think, actually, just by talking to you, but recompressing, is that a thing?
But okay, we'll talk a little bit more about Only Fools a bit later on. But what have you been watching any telly since you've been off?
I hadn't been watching any telly, and then I remembered that being in Spain was the perfect opportunity to catch up with a TV series I managed to see the first episode of the last time I was in Spain and have been unable to catch up with since.
Okay. And what was that?
and it is called Veneno.
Veneno.
Veneno. Veneno.
Veneno. Okay. And what's it about?
It's a TV series which is based on the life story of Spain's most famous transgender celebrity and icon, Cristina Ortiz Rodriguez, who is better known as her nickname, La Veneno. And I just wanted to ask, did you watch Drag Race España or Drag Race Canada Season 2?
I watched Drag Race Canada Season 2. I haven't watched the second season of Drag Race España.
Okay, so, well, did you watch the first season?
I watched a lot of it. I actually really liked it. What I loved about it was I just found them all so stylish and chic. I really loved their drag aesthetic.
Well, I love Drag Race España. I think it also felt like it had its own unique identity within the franchise, particularly, which I think comes from the presenter. But if you've seen both Drag Race Canada Season 2 and Drag Race España, you have been subconsciously introduced to La Veneno.
Okay.
Because Isis Couture performed La Veneno in Snatch Game in Canada Drag Race Season 2, and then the second episode of Drag Race España Season 1, the runway was inspired by La Veneno. So all of them were basically giving their version of who La Veneno is. And I watched the first episode of this series, Veneno, which is also directed to Drag Race judges in Drag Race España. And
your picture was frozen for so long. I was just waiting for it to happen.
Oh no!
So we just lost you for a moment. There's going to be a bit of a delay because you're on your neighbour's broadband, right?
I am. So before coming out here, the one thing I really asked repeatedly was there Wi-Fi? To which the person said yes, yes, yes. However, as I learned yesterday when trying to upload an audition for something, and the upload took 4 hours, the Wi-Fi is not. One of the selling points of this otherwise beautiful location.
Well, it's rural and remote is kind of what you want, really, instead of me asking you to do a podcast while you're on holiday. So let's go on with, we were at Drag Race and España, and they'd done it in the lip sync. Is that right? Or
yeah, they'd done it in the lip sync. There was a whole catwalk, like the Night of 1,000 Madonnas. There was the Night of La Veneno. So, to Spain, Spanish people, she's a cultural institution and has reached as far as Canada as well. But she's not very well known in the UK. And this is the beginning of me championing for the series to be released in the UK so people can learn a bit about. So La Veneno, Cristina Ortiz Rodriguez, had first been on TV prior to transitioning on the equivalent of Spanish Blind Date. And the prize had been a trip to Bangkok, where they saw a lady show and realized they were transgender. And moving back to Spain in 1992, she began to transition and lost her job as a hospital chef, and therefore became a sex worker in the Parque del Oeste in Madrid.
Did you say sex worker?
Transitioning as sex worker, yeah.
Sorry, you broke up then.
Yeah, so Parque del Oeste, I suppose, in the 90s, kind of like King's Cross may have been in the 80s. It was sort of known to be an area where you're going to go if you want, you have if you want to find a sex worker, and so forth. And at the same time, you got this period in Spanish journalism and Spanish television where everyone was fighting to distinguish themselves from each other. And, it's not that long out of being under the Franco regime where everything was so controlled that after you just had this massive explosion. What Franco ended in 1975, still, there was the Madrid movement, which is all about, expression, merging punk, art, gender identity. And there was this reporter who was for a TV show called, excuse my Spanish, Esta Noche Cruzamos el Mississippi. He decided to go to Parque del Oeste to try and get interviews with some of these sex workers. And Labanema was one of the people that found. And you can find this interview on YouTube, and I recommend looking for it. And she's so vibrant, so dynamic, and so frankly stunning that viewers of the television program campaigned for her to come back on the TV show. And that led to her becoming a regular for 2 years on this TV show, and then creating her having a television career.
Amazing. A bit like you on this podcast.
A little bit. I mean, before I guested on this podcast, nobody really had any idea.
But definitely
nobody knows who I am anyway.
Amazing. So where can they find out? So we can't actually get this TV show in the UK, but I mean, presumably we can download it illegally online if you've got the broadband speed.
Well, I mean, if you've got the broadband speed, number one, I'm very envious. And number two, yes, you can indeed. It was actually streamed in HBO in America, so I'm not quite sure why it hasn't made over here. I think for me, it's probably been one of the best queer TV series that I've seen. I mean, you're seeing the character of Lebeno portrayed at 3 stages in her life by 3 different trans performers, and then the other protagonist is the journalist who had interviewed or who had written her autobiography, who was also a young transgender person growing up. So you've got a real timeline, and also gives you a snapshot of life in Spain during that period.
Yeah, and there's a lot of queer TV at the moment, isn't there?
Oh my God, so much.
I'm currently watching the controversial Dharma. I don't know if you've seen any of that.
Oh, yes.
On Netflix.
See, I've heard that's not been getting, that's had a slightly contentious reaction.
I still kind of like it. I think it kind of represents an excuse for his behaviour as being the fact that he was brought up terribly by his parents. And, I mean, it's inexcusable. He's obviously, like, not right. But also the fact of, like, growing up gay in a straight society probably unhinged him a little bit as well, as it does most of us, but some of us don't go around killing people. But also it kind of shows the plight of the victims and their families and the people surrounding that, and how the police didn't deal with it very well. It does kind of sexualise Dharma quite a lot, which is a little bit controversial. But I mean, I've seen pictures of the man. He looks quite hot.
So, okay, so you don't mind him being sexualised?
Not with that particular actor, no.
No.
But, you know, that's just my opinion. And what do I know? But yeah, there's a lot of queer TV. Any other queer TV has caught your eye?
I haven't. This past month, I've barely watched anything, if I'm completely honest. I think because I was in the whirlwind of shows and all that. I've got a long list of things I want to see.
Yeah? Like what?
Which Dharma is lower on the list. But...
yeah, probably. It's probably. I've got a thing for like serial killers, so you know that's why it's high on my list. But what else is on your list
of things to watch?
Yeah.
Oh well, I feel I should watch Heartstopper.
Yeah, I haven't done that yet either.
Well, I'm a bit old, and is it going to make me feel really depressed as I grew up in Section 20 with Section 28?
Well, I think a lot of people kind of the older generation really like it because they're like, this is what our childhood should have been like. And then people of a younger generation are kind of like, meh, this is what our childhood is. So, so hopefully it'll be a joyous thing to watch.
Yes. I mean, it's that classic thing, isn't it? When you tell, I find it very interesting seeing the different reactions to different pieces based on how old the audience member is. I'm actually taken back to a show of Tommy's. See, he's not here, but his spectre lives on. The King's Cross remix when he had, which was dealing with, you know, stories of people in the 80s and obviously, you know, you've got the AIDS spectre in Section 28, all of that. And he'd invited people to respond to it. And there was one writer who her basic response was, I just feel a bit too young to connect with this. It feels all so historical.
Which is interesting, isn't it? Because I actually quite like historical things because it feels like I then connect with that age more rather than feel disconnected by it. So it's an odd reaction.
And you have lived for a very long time. So
743 years. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to take a sidestep to bottoming.
Oh, right.
Is that okay with you?
Is that another new series I should know about?
Now available on Netflix. Bottoming. No. So a few years ago, we covered an article about bottoming, and it was 13 new tips for happier, healthier bottoming by Alexander Cheeves, or Cherve. I don't know. Originally, it was 17, so as he's gotten older, he needs less tips. Unfortunately, I seem to need more. But as he's got older, he talks less about douching and more about having a healthier diet, using sex toys, and topping to improve your bottoming style, which I kind of agree with. I think we're kind of fixated with being tops or bottoms at the moment. Whereas when I came out in the 90s, no one seemed to identify as that. Like everyone was just... They were just gay, and you just did what you wanted to do with them in the bedroom.
Yeah, I agree. I feel that it's a question I don't really remember being asked, 25 years ago. I don't know if that's linked to the fact that people are using apps all the time, and therefore people are basically getting far more direct with the questions instantly. But it also feels people are being forced to make a choice and to choose a position, so to speak.
Yeah, definitely. And also, where gender lines blur, don't sexual roles blur a little bit as well? It's just kind of, it all seems a bit reductive to have your sexual position as a binary.
Oh, yes, I would agree.
Thanks, I knew you would. Anyway, there was another section about not believing false myths about loose holes, because apparently...
What are these false myths?
Well, I think it comes from loose women, whores being loose women, but I think it was, and then it's been morphed into holes being loose rather than their morals. Anyway, if you read the article, you'll realise that these are myths. But there were two. I don't really want to go on about the bottoming bit because I feel like we talk about bottoming a lot on this podcast.
More than doing it?
But probably more than I'm doing it at the moment. Anyway,
right.
But there were two sections which were about sex life in general that stuck out for me and that I would kind of agree with, and I'm gonna quote them here. And particularly for older queers, sex drive naturally waxes and wanes. Enjoy the flow at whatever age you're at. So the guy here says he has periods where he goes wild and periods where he'll just watch Netflix, maybe the Dharma show.
You would find that arousing.
I'm not saying I find it arousing. Hang on. Putting words in my mouth.
What's in your freezer, Bernie? What's in your freezer?
But he says, that's my grown-up sex life. Sex is great, but a good night's sleep is pretty great too. As you age, your sex engine will naturally wax and wane. If you feel yours has waned too long, I strongly encourage you go and get your hormones checked out. Low testosterone is common for folks as they get older and people living with HIV. There's also regular exercise, weightlifting. Also, you can get some supplements to help produce testosterone in your body and improve libido. The pressure to live the sex life you lived in the past causes needless anxiety. Be present with where you are now. The best advice I received from a mentor was simple: never look back, only look forward. I really liked that in terms of getting older and sex drive and libido and things like that.
Yes, I think there is a lot of pressure, particularly I think within certain aspects of the community to be out there all the time or to be having a really, really high energy sex life. And
it's like this ideal that is portrayed about gay men that they're always at it all the time. And I'm sure some people are, but most of us aren't.
Yeah.
Anyway, there was another bit as well, which was really quite poignant, I thought. Shame is your enemy. Shame is a sickness. Shame keeps many queer men from bottoming and indeed from being openly queer. Every time you participate in shame, even in the smallest, quippiest read in a gay bar, you isolate and punish someone for being human. Honesty, openness, and bravery are an antidote to shame. The most shameless bottoms celebrate their sex lives. When you do this, it's very powerful. They give others permission to explore bottoming, and they show the world a facet of sexuality that so often goes misunderstood and clouded by shame. Most grade school jokes about gay men aren't really about gay men, they're about bottoms. More powerful than any leader or institution, shame infects all cultures and kills so many people. If you're going to have a foe, take on the biggest, shame. I was like, where has this come from? This is an article about bottoming and this really profound section about shame.
Yeah, I mean, when you first told me the article about bottoming, I didn't really expect to have this level of profoundness.
No,
but it's true. And actually, that what was it? That quippiest read or that insult. I mean, I was on a tube on the way home Friday night on the way home after the show and some drinks, and we have to everyone has to get off at Oval because there's been a fire on the train, or they're saying there's smoke on the train. So we're getting off, we're walking along, everyone's really walking really slowly. So I think, I'm just going to get my phone, film a little bit, and then carry on walking at the same speed. And I start hearing this person sort of mouthing off, obviously trying to get my attention about someone filming, that we could all die and someone's got their phone out. And, I sort of countered him and said, look, we're not walking at any funny speed or whatever. And he was definitely, he was out either on a date or with a partner, two gay guys. And because I'd engaged with him, he just started insulting me, and his insults were, oh, go suck a dick. And I'm thinking, well, one, happily, but it's also two, I just thought it was really sad that, fine, if you want to hurl insults at me, that's fine, but don't hurl homophobic insults if you're a gay person yourself. Or he was casting that in a negative way.
Yeah, it's like sometimes we're not very nice to each other in our community. No. We kind of have to fight against everybody else, but then we have to fight amongst ourselves. And I think it is getting better, but I think there's still certain elements which still feel they need to lash out at people in their own community for some reason. And that's really sad. I'm sorry you had to go through that.
Oh, it was fine. I felt better because I could clearly see he was getting wound up.
I thought you might just stand up and retort in a very clever manner, a bit like, as you usually do, a bit like Oscar Wilde.
Well, I mean, I was channeling Oscar that day.
Well,
my brain is...
That's quite a somber note to finish the first half on.
I think also, look, the end of that article is very, point is very positive, isn't it? And very...
Yeah, so less of the shame, more of the celebration, please.
Yes.
We've got ads now. Ironically, some of them I've produced in my other role as an audio producer.
Oh my goodness.
which is nice, because it feels like you're getting the whole package.
Bernie package.
The whole Bernie package. So you're getting, not only getting my podcast, but also my ads. So we're on Acast, and if you want to listen without the ads that I've produced or anybody else has, you can sign up to Acast Plus for a couple of quid a month to listen ad-free. And if you sign up to the higher package, you get some extra bits as well. So there you go. But we'll have a break now, and then we'll talk some more after the break. Is that all right with you?
Yes. Oh, I don't feel my brain is on full form today. I feel a bit slow.
It's the broadband. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. Okay, we'll have a quick break, and we'll be back after this. So we're back. Those adverts were lovely.
Yeah.
What's the gay scene like in Majorca? Well, obviously non-existent where you are.
Non-existent. I think, out of curiosity, I turned Grindr on. I think the nearest, there were a couple of people about 2 kilometres away, and then you're getting 6-7 kilometres. I don't know. I think I might explore Palma and see what it's
Oh,
down there.
Parma's lovely. I was there at a film
Have you
festival.
been?
Yeah, but quite a few years ago now. It's probably not the same as it was,
Oh,
but there's lots of nice places to go, and the beach, obviously.
yeah. I think today, the last 2 days have been good weather. I think the next few days are going to be. I'm not sure if I'll stay the full period of time that I was going to stay.
When are you back? You're back for Sugar Babes.
Of course, I'm back for Sugar Babes. I mean, yes, I was going to fly. I was thinking of flying directly to Bristol, but I might go back to my parents or something for a bit.
Where are your
So I might
parents?
go back Tuesday. They're Dorking, Surrey.
Dorking.
Dorking, famed for the Dorking cock.
And
Have you heard of the Dorking cock?
how is the Dorking cock?
The Dorking cock is quite unique in that it has one extra talon than other cocks. And by cocks, I'm talking cockerel, of course.
Yeah.
And, probably maybe a decade or more, maybe 2 decades ago, the Dorking Town Council, who have made a litany of great decisions over the years, decided to erect a statue of the Dorking cock in the roundabout, which then led to a Facebook group, which is now defunct, which was called I Rode the Dorking Cock, where people would post photos of themselves straddling said cock. And I think the main reason they pulled the Facebook group was more a question of safety of people, trying to cross this incredibly busy roundabout for Dorking is rather popular to get to the Dorking cock.
Have you ridden the Dorking cock? Or a Dorking cock?
Well, saying there's more than one cock in Dorking. Obviously, it has been over the years.
Is it where the term dorkish comes from?
I don't know. I think that's an American term, isn't it, to be a dork?
Oh yeah, I guess it is. Yeah. Or
It is where Laurence Olivier was born.
Ah, yeah, I can see that. I think you're a bit Laurence Olivier.
Thank you. I'll take it.
Take it. And the Dorking cock.
I'd rather be Laurence Olivier than Lawrence Fox.
Yeah, I think everyone would, to be honest. So let's talk about you. Only Fools and Horses is over. How long were you doing Only Fools and Horses for?
Well, it's over for me, but it's carrying on with a different cast and in a slightly different shape. I've been doing it. I've been involved since April 2018, so quite a long time. That was for a workshop, and then the show was up. The show opened February 2019, and then obviously we closed for. There was this little thing, in 2020, so we closed for that, and then we came back. So it's been nearly 4 years of my life, really.
And what have been the highs and the lows?
I think the highs have definitely been making a lovely group of friends. We did all get on really, really well, and it made the final week quite traumatic. Actually, it was quite weird. Our final show, they didn't let people know it was the final show. The audience must have thought, what is wrong with this? All of these plonkers on stage, because by the finale, we were all, half of us are sobbing, most of us are miming. And it was lovely. We had a lot of pranks throughout the years, which was great fun. And I did win the prize at our unofficial awards for being the biggest prankster. So I leave with something.
You were the biggest prankster. So what was the best prank that you played?
I can't tell you the best prank because it could mean I never work in theatre again.
Okay, the second best.
The second best. Well, a very nice, innocent one is I may or may not occasionally, a part of the show is set in a market. You've got market stalls, you've got these fruit sellers. And I've discovered that I'm very good at, it's almost reverse pickpocketing. I'm very good at slipping things in people's pockets when they're unaware. So I think it did get to a point. I eventually had to stop because people were living in fear of running across the stage and having an orange fall out or something like that. So, yeah. I think a lot of people are probably quite happy I'm gone. Others are very sad.
Yeah. And what was there any low points? Were there times when you think, I don't know why I'm doing this?
Yeah, I think particularly towards the end of the first year before the pandemic, I've never been in a long running show like that. I think you do need stamina, and I guess you need a good support base or outside life. And I guess because I'd moved to London for the job, I didn't have that same connection. So you'd sort of finish your job and then it would be you're back home and then going in. I found I couldn't do all the things you might do when you move to a city, like join a book group because the book groups are in the evenings, or go on a date because most people want to go on a date in the evening. So yeah, I think that was a bit of a low point for a while.
And so what's next? What are you looking forward to doing now?
I am looking forward to doing more work with Degrees of Error. So at the improvised poetry company that I'm with, so we have Murder She Didn't Write. And we've just taken on some new improvisers, so we're going to be workshopping with them. And I'm also working on a podcast with 2 other people. I mean, I don't know, Bernie, what you think about people doing podcasts, but
I think people shouldn't do them, to be honest. But no, I think it's great. You gave me a little preview of the podcast, and I think it's really funny, and I really liked it. It's kind of a panel show, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a panel show. So it's called Taboo or Not Taboo. And it's a panel show where each week our 2 teams have to answer questions based on different taboo topics. So things that are not normally discussed in a light-hearted panel show environment. So the test one that you heard was cancelled celebrities. So we use the word allegedly quite a lot during the record of that. And then other topics can be, we'll start broad and then we'll be getting more and more niche as we go along.
Nice. Well, talking of taboo topics, are you up for doing some Queens of Agony questions with me?
I 100% am.
Well, also, there's another element to this week's Queens of Agony, because I feel that I have a bit of a psychic link to Tommy. I actually feel like we may be able to psychically record some reactions from him as we're doing this. But we'll see. We'll see if it actually happens. But I'll do the big gong. And we'll do some Queens of Agony and see if we can get some reactions from Tommy. So this first one is quite long. So, dear old Queen, I'm including you in this because you've got a picture in the attic, but you are quite old these days, aren't you?
Oh, I didn't hear that.
They're probably wise.
Is that a good thing I didn't hear that?
It's probably good that you didn't hear that. So, dear old Queens, never-ending lockdown. So, my boyfriend, 39, and myself, 42, have been together for well over a decade. We live together, walk to work together, sleep together, walk the dogs together, watch TV together, go on holidays together. You get the picture. We had a conversation yesterday about how I need some space. He didn't take it very well. Indeed, he wanted to hug me afterwards because he was upset. Later that evening, he went for a run and then messaged me to meet him where he was because, well, he can't be away from me for more than 5 minutes. If I go to the gym or for a run somewhere, he messaged me to ask what time he can come and pick me up. We have Find a Friend on our phones so he can see where I am. I'm worried that I'm going to crack. He is an interesting, smart guy, but has no hobbies of his own, no friends of his own. I can't do anything with anyone without feeling obliged to take him along. And no actual life, it seems to me, that does not include me. I thought lockdown was finished. Any advice welcome. Wow, that's intense.
That is intense. I've got a question. Is he hung?
I don't know.
Okay. We need information, people. We need full information.
I mean, What would Tommy say at this point? Let's just see if we can psychically... I feel something is coming through.
Is there a long letter?
No, there isn't a long letter, Tommy. I don't. Well, it is quite long, but there's no extra to it. I don't know if he's hung. They didn't put that in, but maybe they are because they've been together for a long time.
Well, I mean, I'm mainly asking because I did find that my first instinct was to say, well, dump him.
I think
then I wondered if he was hung, because then maybe I'd go out with him, because my never-ending lockdown was on my own, so I'm quite ready to have a bit of that. But no, I can see the picture. I can see the picture, and I think this is all going to be down to communication and being maybe brave enough to have a word with him and say that you want a bit more space in order to be able to appreciate each other better.
Yeah. I mean, but I think this is so entrenched, and probably lockdown has made it even more entrenched, that they're doing everything together. But I think I would find that completely suffocating. I just don't think I would survive within that environment.
No.
Possibly couples counselling is the way to go if you actually want to stay with this person.
I think so. If you don't feel you can have that conversation with him honestly and encourage him to find some space. I mean, it'd be interesting to know if you maybe look back, pre-pandemic, and look at, what is it that all really came in from since the pandemic, or was it there before? And if it wasn't there before, then look at what was making it easier before.
Exactly. But it's kind of a classic codependency thing. He's obviously latched on.
Yeah.
And that's not entirely love, is it? That's kind of obsession with someone. It's like, if you love someone, you let them be who they are and let them do what they want to do. I don't think constantly being on top of someone that you're in a relationship with kind of works. And I think if you went out with anyone new and you decide to do that, they would run a mile.
Yeah. It also, you wonder if the boyfriend has a lack of confidence or confidence in himself and in the relationship. Yeah.
It's like insecurity as well, isn't it? It's like you're scared of losing something that you have. But that's always the thing, isn't it? By acting that way, you actually drive people away instead of keeping them, which is obviously is what's happening with this letter. So I would probably get some professional advice and maybe some couples counselling with this, and maybe not listen to what some people in a podcast would give you. But there's obviously something wrong here, and I would identify that there are alarm bells ringing for me, at least.
Exactly. I would agree. It's about, you obviously want to stay together, so it's about finding the ways to make that achievable for you.
Yeah, make it move forward. Okay, shall we move on?
Why not?
Yeah, okay. So, dear old queens, are you nervous about sending nudes? On pretty much all the apps, sending nudes is pretty widespread, but I'm discreet and nervous about sending. I'm worried someone might use or share them with someone else. How do you handle this? Have either of you had your pictures stolen or used by other people? I mean, I'd probably see that as quite flattering if someone used my pictures.
Exactly. I think it's quite, it's quite nice if they think that my slightly flabby torso is worthy of resharing.
Look, some people everybody's into everything, basically, so, and anyone can be into anyone, so I don't think
exactly.
It's about shaming. You can shame yourself as well. We were talking about that before the break, and I feel like you shouldn't shame yourself because everybody's body is beautiful. But I don't know, I think I get to a certain point where I feel safe to send a nude rather than sending them straight away. But also, I wonder about this discreet thing, because loads of people say they're discreet and won't even show their face. And I wonder, who am I going to show your picture to? I don't even know who you are.
Yeah. I think that I have been a bit, I would be more nervous about that is the occasional thing I fear. Oh, what if, some random person I've matched on Grindr or I shared a pic with, then just tweets, oh, look, this is Trigger. Here's Trigger's broom handle. Something like that. I don't know. But
I mean, people obviously do share private pics that they've been sent. I mean, it's just human to do that. But I guess you just kind of have to be okay with that in a way, because it's going to happen. If you're going to share your pictures, that probably is going to happen at some point.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be put on the front page of The Sun or or anything like that.
Exactly. It's about the reach, and it's about the, I think it's hardly going to blow up Twitter if somebody's nude gets leaked, unless you're in a really, really high profile position. I guess the only fear might be if you get someone who's a bit malicious, but then if they're malicious, is it because you've treated them badly? And that, if we're getting into revenge porn, I suppose that's slightly different from just sharing a nude, isn't it?
Revenge porn. I don't know if I've heard about that, but
oh, it's when people leak videos that have been made. I think it's called revenge. When say you've made a video, you and your partner, you break up, and then later that person releases it, so all and sundry can see the two of you.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I haven't even thought about that. But I think you shouldn't feel pressurized into showing private pics.
No.
But I feel like you maybe won't get anywhere on those apps if you don't. No. So there has to come a point where you feel safe enough to do that in order to hook up with someone. Like, everyone wants to see the goods beforehand. And I used to quite like it when you were picking up people in bars and then you'd kind of unwrap something and it would be a surprise to see what you got.
I quite like that. And I think that's something we can bring back into the online dating realm.
Yeah, you don't have to see everything up front. It can be like, well, let's wait and see. Because everybody wants to know, don't they? They want to know what you want to do in bed, what your private parts look like, and then make an assumption of how it's going to be. And it's never, that assumption probably isn't correct.
Exactly.
So,
saying that, I do just want any listeners to know that my DMs are open. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter.
Yeah. I think this guy should go the other way and open an OnlyFans account and just get it all out there and get paid for it.
Exactly.
Right? So...
yeah, that's the way forward.
Face your fears and embrace them. That's what I say. But if you don't want to do that, then have the mystique and don't be pressurized into showing your private parts if you don't want to. Okay. Shall we move on? This one is definitely for you, considering your recent career, well, the recent part of your career, and where it may move to in the future. Who knows? But dear old queens, which musicals do you find are overrated and why? Dreamgirls is mine. I like the songs, but I can't stand the narrative. And Effie is too unlikable to be rootable, but Dina leaves little to no impression. This would have been more fun if it brought more of the mean streak and backstabbing from the Supremes. So which musicals do you find to be overrated and why? Well, you've just come from the West End.
I have come from the West End. One of the weirdest things about being in the West End is because you're doing shows all the time, you don't get to see any. So I've only actually seen, I think I've seen less than 5 big musicals. I don't know Dreamgirls, haven't seen that.
Have you not seen the film?
No.
Oh, okay. It's good. I'd advise it. I mean, we're going to see the Sugar Babes in a couple of weeks. Me, you, and Tommy. So
we are.
Yeah, they're almost like the Dreamgirls. I mean, we've all been in the Sugar Babes at one point, right? So
we have.
But we're seeing the original outfit, the original members.
We're seeing the OGs.
Yeah.
OGs. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. No, I don't actually I'm not even that big a fan of musicals. I mean, I know I was in one, but when I auditioned, I didn't realize I was auditioning for musicals. So it was all a bit happenstance. I've got musicals I love. I'm trying to think what I find overrated.
I think Andrew Lloyd Webber's a little bit overrated. God bless Lord Webber. I hate cats. Like I kind of love to hate cats.
Did you see the film?
I've not seen the film, but I've actually seen I've seen a provincial tour of cats at the Bristol Hippodrome, and was like, why have I watched this? But I did like Elaine Page's portrayal originally. I saw a filmed version of that. That was amazing. And I kind of liked that original cast film, but every time I've seen it subsequently with different casts, I'm like, why is this even a musical?
It is quite bizarre how that actually came to be, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I think at least it was based off a book or something, whereas now I think most of the new musicals are all well, a bit like Only Fools and Horses was. You're all taking a film. So you've got Back to the Future, the musical. You had Big, the musical, which I went to see, and I found a little problematic. Definitely felt like a story still rooted of its time. And there's just something really odd about seeing a sex scene between a 13-year-old in a man's body.
Wow.
I was just sitting there thinking, at what point of development did you not think, let's maybe tweak this book a little bit?
The Phantom, I quite like Phantom.
I've never seen it.
Yeah, I mean, I did a musical review called Beyond Broadway, and we had to sing some songs from Phantom and lots of other things. Les Miserables, I think some of the songs are great, but I'm not sure I could sit through the whole musical of that because I haven't. I like Oliver. I like My Fair Lady.
My Fair Lady's great.
I would love to play Fagin in Oliver. That would be amazing.
You'd be a great Fagin.
I think I'd quite like that. That's on my bucket list to do Fagin.
Okay, we can make it happen.
Okay.
I did see the Les Mis film, and I found it was a real roller coaster of at certain points feeling actually engaged and touched, and at other times my skin was crawling and I had to grip the seat not to leave the theatre. I don't think I could put myself through that again. When I saw Lion King, I went to see the cast change. Oh, what did you say?
Lion King? Yeah,
when I saw the Lion King. So I went to see the cast change. So like when they're having new people in, so you get to go and watch this show. And I was like, right. And then the guy introducing, he said, well, as you all know, so-and-so, when so-and-so dies and this, and I thought I was quite annoyed because I didn't know the story. I hadn't seen the film. I didn't know, I was he ruined what could have been a really beautiful experience for me. I did enjoy Lion.
I prefer Beauty and the Beast, I think.
I am going to see that at the Hippodrome.
But I like the cartoon version of it. I don't know if I want to see it in a theatre setting.
Well, see, I haven't seen the cartoon, but my good friend Sam Bailey is playing the teapot.
Right, okay.
So I'm going to go and support.
Yeah,
apparently there's a teapot. I do know the teapot.
Teapot is a good role, I think, to have.
Yeah, okay, good.
Is that a swing role, the teapot?
No, I think it's like a hero role because it would have been Angela Lansbury.
A tale as old as time.
Yeah.
Sweeney Todd, I liked that. Angela Lansbury in Sweeney Todd is fucking amazing, I have to say.
Really?
Yeah, I've seen a filmed version of that. I've not seen it live, but yeah, she was brilliant. And I've seen the movie version of it as well.
I have to say that I really enjoyed Grease 2.
Well, Grease 2 is kind of it was shown as like a queer screen as part of Pride in Bristol this year. And Tommy did a little introduction to it. Yeah. Do you think it's quite queer, Grease 2?
Do you know, I'm going to have to go back and watch it. I can't say that I would have thought it was particularly queer, but I mean, the Michelle Pfeiffer character, she did wear a lot of leather and liked riding a bike. Yeah.
And the guy who was later on in Casualty, and I used to see him around Bristol when they were filming it as well, the one that was in the Colbys.
Miles, yeah.
Yeah, I always fancied him. He was cute.
He was quite cute.
Yeah. So that kind of makes it queer.
Is it queer? Yeah.
It's queer if people are cute, I think, that you fancy.
Yeah, and I suppose if they flipped the roles a bit, haven't they?
Yeah. Because, Michelle Pfeiffer's playing the John Travolta role.
Yeah.
And the guy's playing the late, belated Olivia Newton-John role.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. So sad that she passed away this year. Little Shop of Horrors.
That's good.
Yeah. Which has a dentist
I'd like
in.
to play the dentist.
Yeah, I thought you'd like to play the dentist.
Yeah. I'd play that.
I'd like to play the plant.
You would be great as the plant. Does that mean that we can get Tommy as... Tommy can do the Suddenly Seymour song. He sings that. What's the woman called?
I don't know. Can't remember. But speaking of dentists, we have a final Queens of Agony question, which is on a same role. But Tommy, do you have anything psychically to tell us about that last question?
I don't have an opinion on this question.
Okay. Right. Fine. So we'll move on to the next one. So, dear old Queens, where do I look when I'm at the dentist? I hate the dentists. They get too close and I never know where to look. Do I look at them? Do I close my eyes? They are blocking the walls. Where do I look? I spend the entire time nervously glancing around the entire room, which leads me on to another question. What the heck do I do with my limbs? Just sitting still for so long is awkward, and then I worry, and then I start to shake, and then I worry about shaking because I'm moving. Help, the dentist. Where do you look when you're at the dentist?
I've actually been to the dentist about 4 times this year because I've neglected my teeth for a long time, primarily because my previous dentist was my ex and in Barcelona, and so I've not been.
What? That is, wow. How do you date? Like, you date a dentist and he is your actual dentist?
Yeah. That was very interesting. In the early days of being together, we'd be out and then I'd just catch him looking at my mouth when I was smiling because he's obviously trying to see. And then, a few months in, he was saying, "Can I look? Can I look?"
Wow.
So he, was checking to see, and he was like, "Do you floss? You maybe should go and see this." So I did initially go and see his friend, Diego, instead. But Diego gave me a filling that came, sorry, Diego, if you're listening, that came out a week later. So then I thought, okay, well, I'll go with Domingo, my ex, or my partner at the time. And, that lasted for a while. And then when we broke up, I thought, well, he's still my dentist after 7 years. So we were together 7 years. And I went back and I complained about a slight pain in one of my lower left, upper left molars. And then he said, I think it's because your wisdom tooth is pressing in on it. I'm going to pull it out.
Wow.
So there and then, tugging, pulling at this tooth, like no forewarning, lots of blood everywhere. And I cannot help but think that was really cathartic for him. Then he really enjoyed it.
So was this after you split up?
This was after we'd broken up.
Wow.
And not long after. So, and we maintained a very positive relationship together, obviously, but I think he got a lot out there. But my current dentist...
are you dating them?
No, I'm not dating him, but he is very attractive. So I recommend doing what I do, which is the whole time he's working, I am staring directly into his eyes. It's, at first I didn't quite realize I was doing it. And then when I did realize, I realized I'm probably making you feel just as uncomfortable as you're making me feel.
Yeah.
He's rooting around, drilling in my mouth, and it's probably, I'm giving a certain level of discomfort by just staring directly into his eyes as he does it the whole time.
I also don't particularly... I like my dentist, but I don't particularly like being at the dentist. I've had the same dentist for, over 20 years now, and I rue the day that he actually retires because I don't know what I'm going to do. But I realise how nervous I am because actually when they're in my mouth, I'm kind of gripping the handles of the chair really tightly, and then I have to catch myself and not grip the handles of the chair. I actually don't know where I look. I think I look everywhere but the dentist. My dentist usually has like modern art on his walls, which actually look like teeth, which is bizarre. I did talk to him about it once, and I said, why have you got pictures of teeth on your wall? And he was like, well, lots of people think it looks like different things, but it's interesting you think it looks like teeth.
Is he also a psychoanalyst?
I don't know. Maybe. He's also quite cute, but for an older dentist kind of guy. Although I don't think I would date a dentist. I would find that really intimidating, that my boyfriend was constantly checking my teeth. Makes you feel like you're a horse or something.
I mean, I've been called a horse, but for other reasons before. But
it's your equine good looks.
Yes, exactly. No, I do find, yes, there was the one time when I realised I had been staring at the dentist for a very long time, but generally my appointments have been quite early, and I'm quite late to bed. So getting so early, I was just going straight out of bed, getting there, and I just close my eyes, and I find that's really good. Close my eyes, deep breath. I just tend to keep my hands together, and I sort of I'm not a person who meditates, but it feels like I sort of go into one of those meditative states.
Yeah.
Where I'm just letting something happen to me. I've got no control. Let's just lie back and think of England.
Yeah. As you invariably do in those similar situations.
Yeah.
What I really hate is the hygienist. Now, who in their right mind is choosing the job of a hygienist? I don't understand. It is pure torture. Like the scraping of the teeth, and you just feel so embarrassed because you know that they're going to have a go at you because you haven't been cleaning them properly or whatever, or flossing, or your gums are receding.
It's a job for a sadist.
I think it is. And the thing is about the hygienist is it's always different every single time, so I'm never comfortable with them in my mouth. Yeah, I did think I might go for a dentist role at some point.
Really?
But then I thought better of it. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think I could be in people's mouths all the time. Well, I mean, some of the time I can be, but that's in a different way. Tommy, do you have anything to say about this?
You need to be happy with what you're doing, and that's your lot, really.
Yeah. Anything else?
As you say, we are not the experts at everything, and I've never experienced piles. I know people that have.
Yeah. I'm not sure that's relevant to this question, but...
Oh my God, that's my favourite. Please, can I have all of those as ringtones?
I will send them to you. That one is the best one.
As you say, we are not the experts at everything, and I've never experienced piles. I know people that have.
Yeah, that's the calibre of questions we've had in the past.
I love it. I sense a remix possibility with some of those.
Yeah.
You need to be happy with what you're doing, and that's your lot, really. As you say, we are not the experts. As you say, we are not the experts at everything. Is there a long letter? Is there a long letter?
Hi.
All I need is a backbeat. Yeah. With that, I fear we've come to the end of the podcast with a little bit of Tommy, but mainly sans Tommy. But thank you so much for stepping in. Do you have any words of wisdom that you want to part with our listeners with?
When going abroad to stay... Oh God, sorry. My brain is... Any words of wisdom? If you're going to speak on a podcast, make sure you've spoken to another human being at least 2 days beforehand.
Well, yeah, I can guarantee you that wasn't happening during lockdown for me or Tommy.
No, true. It is. This is like a lockdown flashback, isn't it?
It is a little bit. Yeah, it's weird doing it on Zoom because there's such a delay, which they won't hear because I'll edit all of that out. But it's like it's not as spontaneous as it could be if we were in person or on a proper broadband connection.
Or on proper broadband.
But thank you for joining us from sunny Majorca.
You're very welcome. The water in Mallorca ain't taste like it ought to, which is why I'm drinking wine.
Of course. Me too. The water in Bristol don't taste like what it ought to either. Please.
I've got a question for you.
Okay, what?
Harking back to the fact we're going to see the Sugar Babes, what is the one Sugar Babe song that's going to get you whooping on your feet?
Ooh. Now you're putting me on the spot as if I can remember any of the Sugar Babe songs.
You even know who they are.
I love the Sugar Babes. What was the first song that they had out, which was amazing?
Oh, Overload.
Overload was great. There was one that they did with Richard X as well, which is brilliant. Which wasn't the original cast, I believe.
Oh, Freak Like Me.
Freak Like Me. Yeah, love that one.
That's good.
But Overload is the one that I really love. But I kind of love all of them. I love pop, and camp pop is great for me. So yeah, really looking forward to that. And it's kind of our birthday trip out, isn't it?
It is. How old will you be, Bernie?
744.
Great.
How old will you be?
30.
Great. Well, I'll drink to that.
Cheers.
Somewhere in between 30 and 744 are two truths.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being on the show. Please say goodbye to our lovely audience.
Goodbye, lovely audience. If you've enjoyed this podcast, my name is Peter Baker. If you haven't, it's Tommy Marshman.
And the same goes for me. If you've enjoyed this podcast, my name is Peter Baker, and if it's not, it's Tommy Marshman. We will see you next time on What That Old Queen. You have been listening to What That Old Queen, written and presented by Tom Marshman and Bernie Hodges. The show was produced by Bernie Hodges for Hodge Podcasting in 2022. If you have a question for the old queens, or you'd like to be a guest, or you want to sponsor a show and give us lots of money, you can email hello@thatoldqueen.com or find us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter.